Well, not the worst of his problems. This just in, breaking news. Onision has lost his Twitch. And I think the only thing, and we'll follow this up as soon as we get a reason, the only thing that's mildly interesting about this is why. We have seen Twitch in the past take stands on offline behavior for much less than this. We've seen Keemstar, if I remember correctly, lost his checkmark after he was invited up back on the site for offline behavior. If I'm not mistaken, in 2018, Twitch made it a part of their policy, clearly defined, that offline behavior could affect your status, your channel status on Twitch. So you've got to wonder, has the Chris Hansen stuff really had that much of an impact? Well, certainly it has. It has with Patreon. I think Chris Hansen, he's probably personally responsible for the Patreon. And no, well, let me rephrase that. I don't want to get into this. Trump shot the plane down. Onision's responsible for this. Not only some of the stuff that he's accused of, which I generally believe, his reaction to a lot of this stuff. Chris Hansen just the other day put this up, called the Onision Wrap Up. Let's check it out. We have the first amount of evidence that Onision might be under investigation by the FBI, and we've talked about this before. Chris talked a good game. He said the FBI is looking into it. We haven't really seen much progress. We've also mentioned before that a lot of the community is getting a little edgy with Chris Hansen, and of course, some of the actions by his co-host and his producer, I guess, for lack of a better word, if that's the case, has rubbed a good portion of YouTube the wrong way. Mr. GG did an excellent video on that. Before I get any further, though, I'd like to check this up over here. I don't think the notifications went out. I don't think I ever complained about that, but it's a really important issue about child abuse related to Twitch. If you haven't seen it, please check it up right there. Check it out right there. Check it up, check it out, check it any way you want. I'd like to spread the word because I'm being told the notifications did not go out on this one by my news team. I was a little surprised it didn't crack 2K. I'm not thinking every one of my videos are going to hit 10, 20, 30K, but I do think it's important if you find out about this particular issue. Before we go on, let's check out Chris Hansen's video on the wrap-up, so to speak.
It quickly became clear that Greg was not unfamiliar to the local law enforcement authorities here. They were aware of his YouTube antics, the allegations of inappropriate contact with young women. The other thing that stands out to me is that Greg is about as brave in person as you'd expect. The thing about dealing with a predator is you know exactly what a predator is going to do. He had his chance today to talk to me, to explain his side of the story, to defend himself, but he chose not to do it, not even to continue his dramatic rants that he's been conducting on YouTube. Just wouldn't even come to the door. And I could hear him in the background, you know, calling the sheriff's department. Oh, he's out there with camera crews and this, that, and the other thing. So.
And you were yelling at him.
That's going to be the statement for now, I guess. He knows we are out here. He knows we want to talk to him now and down the road. So we'll see what happens. Mike Morris is with us. Mike, anything, you know, surprise you about all this today?
You know, I'm new to this whole thing.
Right.
And you pretty much called it. I mean, you know, you were right about the hotel. The intel was right. He was at the hotel. He was posting yesterday from the hotel, making it look like it was from the hotel. I think he was home. He got here, I think, days ago because nobody in the hotel saw him. This morning when we've been waiting, you thought he was in the house. I didn't. He was in the house. So all the hunches, you know, from all your years of doing this have turned out to be true. The fact that there's several people in the house right now.
So It looks like Onision tried to deflect a little bit, and Nick, he knew Chris was in town. Can you imagine? You, right there. Especially if you're a dude. Chris Hansen hunting you down. Like, that's got to be devastating in every way. I'm aware of a case when Chris was doing I think it might have been the end of his show, to catch a P word, that he was looking to question somebody and the guy self-terminated. So it is amazing that Onision can put out the content that he can and even be somewhat together, knowing that the walls are kind of crashing in. You know, losing a Twitch channel, yeah, that's not that big a deal. But when you make your living doing this, it's devastating. It's one less tool for income, especially when you have children.
And it also seems to me that he's living in a constant state of paranoia. You see, maybe up to a half dozen cameras and monitoring devices in the front yard, across the street apparently.
Yeah, there's
at
at
the
least
front
half
door.
a dozen. But the thing that's
Well, he's doing horrible things. Wouldn't you want to defend yourself, Chris? He's allegedly grooming kids. You want to know? You want to know if Chris Hansen's coming? Of course, he has that stuff.
Really interesting is that it's we're always thinking, is this a ruse? Is he crazy? Is he telling the truth? It's all bullshit. I mean, it's all made up, because if he wanted to get his side of the story, he'd sit down and talk to you.
He could have done it right here. He could have said, meet us up the street. We would have gotten a hotel
And he's
suite
not on
for
the
him.
run. He's home.
No.
We just proved
That's
he's
the
home.
other clear thing is
He's
that
home.
all this stuff about him being penniless and Kai divorcing him and all that. Kai is right in the house with the kids right now with...
And he's not home because of us chasing him. He didn't, he didn't know. So he's home, and he's not homeless.
It would be my educated guess that he had no idea we were in town until I knocked on that door.
I agree, 100%.
No clue.
The sheriffs were...
I don't get that. Then why did he get the hotel? To make it seem like he was somewhere else. But, hey, I'm no Chris Hansen. And I say that with respect. I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic interviewer, too.
Completely professional. They were fans of yours and your show, and they appreciate you. I like that.
And not surprised that we were out here today.
No, and they're not surprised. They're aware that he lives here on the street. And, maybe I'll get the email back saying that they're ready for a sit-down, because, we still are ready.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if... I always tell people this. I maybe this is the New Jersey in me. Whether you're guilty, whether you're innocent, never talk to the police. It's certainly never talk to the media. I really can't blame him for not talking to Chris Hansen. But what they're trying to drive home, he has not made an adequate defense of himself at all. I mean, the closest thing I heard to a defense or even addressing some of this stuff was in the 911 call. Well, I have a friend that said a bunch of mean things about me. It goes a little deeper than that. It goes a little deeper than that. There's also the ongoing controversy, and this is really the code of the internet. I'm sure Chris doesn't give a rat's behind about this kind of stuff. And I'm still seeing him discuss whether he should have done this, whether he's going too far. I got to be honest with you. I think this is the real world crashing in, not only for Onision. I mean, for YouTubers too. If you're accused of this kind of stuff, it just doesn't always stay online. If you're a public figure, you're not immune. There is the worry that people will take this and, harass other YouTubers when they've not done anything or been accused of anything of this type. But there are harassment laws for that. Going up with the camera crew, knocking on somebody's door, especially if you have years of journalism behind you, legit journalism, is completely and totally appropriate. And if he is guilty of these crimes, it is a great way to hold somebody accountable that is committing those crimes. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't want Onision gone or accountable and not allow the people that have the best chance of holding him accountable not go to his house. Now, if Chris carried on, if he didn't leave the property when he's supposed to, obviously the sheriff's department was called, and they were happy that Chris didn't break the law. And from what I understand, he has a pretty good relationship with police if he didn't call them ahead of time. So I think overall, Chris has had some bumpy spots on YouTube, especially recently, that this is a win. Now, here's what we got. Shiloh, the ex-girlfriend. Some of the most disturbing video I've ever seen. I've played it here before, of abuse of her. It's really shocking to think about. Has reported that she had a live stream last night stating that she has had contact with the FBI and multiple investigations are ongoing, including Chris Hansen's one. I believe her when she says she's spoken to the FBI. I have no reason not to believe her. Let's get that clip right here. Let's check that out.
Hansen does have an open investigation. There is also, to my knowledge, more than one FBI investigation open, including my own. Hansen.
Well, that's a little strange that your own. Isn't she Canadian? Well, she has an FBI. That sounds bizarre to me. That sounds a little. That sounds a little strange to me. I may not know enough about the FBI to comment on that further. But that is interesting. She may be mistaken or misunderstood, but I don't believe she's lying. I don't believe she's lying. That all being said, kids, and this is where I make the Onision fans really mad at me. I don't know that he's broken I don't know that he's broken a law. I know he's disgusting. I know I would consider what he's doing grooming. He's certainly abusive, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to break a statute crime. There's another way to look at this if he doesn't get charged, though. This may be the end of Onision as far as being able to produce content if he continually has to defend himself in court. The money's going to run out. I mean, look, he made a lot of money on his website, and that's a nice house, but it's not a rich man's house. So I imagine he had it all and blew it. I imagine that he's in a position where it's a slow end, but it's an end nonetheless. The only thing I got for you is I don't have it up here. Onision did put out a video. He did not address Chris Hansen, but he put out a video recently on Onision Speaks where he goes on about, and this is kind of strange to me, he basically goes on and says that he made these sort of fake over-the-top meltdown videos to supplement his loss of Patreon, which I think most people knew, but that it got a little out of control, that people actually believed that he's falling apart. And like I said, he doesn't mention Chris Hansen, but then he goes on to talk about a past incident where he, I guess, belittled victims. It seems like it almost felt like to me when I was watching the video. I'll put the link in the description. That he was the reason he's here in this position right now is because of a position or something he said that was careless years ago. He's in this position right now because a girl that, and it's never been made 100% clear whether she was adopted or not, that was living under his roof as a minor, eventually became a lover of his. That's why he's in this position. And she came forward. That's it. No other way around it.